What's happening at Liverpool? Real Madrid won't back down on Trent Alexander-Arnold, but are they already eyeing a second option? Arne Slot's surprising stance on a player Klopp once called super important has got everyone talking. Has Liverpool's golden boy lost his shine? And it doesn't stop there. Fabrizio Romano has just dropped a bombshell, and trust me, it's news no Liverpool supporter wants to hear. And if you're wondering who could possibly replace the likes of Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, or even Trent, I've got 9 names that might just blow your mind. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It's the best way to stay in the loop with all things Liverpool. Alright, let's get into it. Stick with me because this is going to be a rollercoaster, and by the end of it, you'll know exactly what's happening with our Reds. Let's dive in. Alright Red, let's talk about what's been going on with Liverpool and that missed chance to sign Omar Marmoush. Honestly, it's a bit of a gut punch, isn't it? The Egyptian international, who had been making waves in the Bundesliga, won't be donning the famous red shirt anytime soon. Instead, he's heading straight to our Premier League rivals, Manchester City. I know, it stings, but let's break it down together, yeah? So, here's the story. Marmoush, who's been nothing short of sensational this season, we're talking 34 goal contributions in just 26 games, had been linked to us. The whispers were coming from Germany, with Christian Falk at Bild throwing our name into the mix. He was seen as a potential successor should Mo Salah, our king of the COP, decide to leave, and let's face it, there's still a massive question mark hanging over Salah's future. With his current contract set to expire this summer, no deal's been inked yet, and you and I both know how nail-biting these negotiations can get. But here's where it gets tricky. While we were still mulling things over, City swooped in and sealed the deal. Fabrizio Romano, with his classic "here we go," confirmed it's a 5-year deal for the lad, and let's not kid ourselves, Marmoush joining City is a big move for them. Losing Julian Alvarez in the summer left them needing someone to spark that attacking link-up again, and they've clearly pegged Marmoush as their man. Now, let's flip the coin back to Liverpool. You've probably heard the rumours swirling about Darwin Núñez. There's talk of Saudi interest, with clubs sniffing around and wondering what we'd sell him for. And, yeah, Núñez hasn't had the smoothest time under Arne Slot's system, but think about it, letting him go without a solid plan for a replacement. That'd be madness, especially when we know how injury-prone Diogo Jota can be. So, as frustrating as this Marmoush news is, it might be a blessing in disguise. Maybe it's a signal to focus on securing Salah's future or even giving Núñez the proper run he deserves. We've got to stay strong, trust the process, and remember that Liverpool's legacy is built on resilience and clever decision-making. Okay, now let's dive into this one because there's a lot to unpack. Liverpool finds itself in a bit of a tricky situation right now. And if you're like me, you're probably keeping a close eye on what's happening behind the scenes. Richard Hughes, our new sporting director, is already working overtime to figure out the future of some of the biggest names in our squad: Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Yeah, those 3. As January speeds by, we're still waiting for news about their contracts, and it's getting tense. The clock's ticking, and there's been no breakthrough yet. To make things even more nerve-wracking, rumours are flying left, right, and centre. Trent's been linked with moves away, but here's the kicker: Saudi Arabia's Al Hilal is reportedly eyeing up both Salah and Van Dijk. Imagine that, a double swoop for 2 of our biggest stars. It's hard to even picture, isn't it? But here we are, staring at the possibility that Liverpool could lose all 3 of them, or maybe, just maybe, none at all. Now, knowing how this club works, Hughes and his team aren't sitting around waiting for the dust to settle. No, they're already plotting potential replacements, because at Liverpool, it's always about staying one step ahead. So let's break it down, position by position, starting with Mo Salah. Mohamed Salah. Replacing a player like Salah? That's like trying to replace the heartbeat of this team, but here are 3 options on the radar. Charles de Ketelaere, the Belgian forward, is having a proper revival at Atalanta after a rough patch at Milan. He's a tall, elegant dribbler, and get this, he's already up to 17 goal involvements this season, a left-footed winger on the right side. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Deniz Undav, Stuttgart's late bloomer. He's 28, sure, but he's the engine behind a Champions League-level side in the Bundesliga. Undav's versatility and experience could make him a clever outside-the-box pick. Christian Pulisic, you might know him from his Chelsea days, but he's found his feet at Milan this season, with 10 goals so far. He's proven he can handle the pressure, and his ability to play across the forward line makes him a solid shout. Virgil van Dijk. Big Virg, just imagining a backline without him feels wrong, but if it comes to that, these are the names to watch. Goncalo Inácio, the Portuguese star at Sporting, ticks all the boxes: young, experienced, left-footed, and a passing machine. He's got a release clause of €60 million, which could be a bargain considering his potential. Alessandro Bastoni, another left-footed powerhouse, but with a bit more experience at the very top level. The catch? He might set us back over £100 million, worth it. Maybe. Amir Rahani, Napoli's rock at the back, at 6 feet 3 inches and 30 years old, he's got the physicality and experience to slot right in, plus, he's not going to break the bank, which is always a bonus. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, replacing Trent? Nearly impossible. The lad's a generational talent, but here's who could step up. Connor Bradley. Why look elsewhere when we've got a young talent in-house? Bradley loves to bomb forward, and while he's not Trent, he could grow into the role. Anthony Kaki, Mainz's French defender, is having a stellar season in the Bundesliga. He's aggressive, creative, and pushing for Champions League football. Michael Keown, Lazio's young fullback, hasn't had much game time this year, but don't let that fool you. He was a star last season and could be a smart pick for the future. Look, I won't sugarcoat it, the idea of losing any of these players is tough to swallow, but this is Liverpool. We've been through ups and downs, and we always find a way to come back stronger. Hughes and the team are clearly planning for every scenario, so whatever happens, you can trust that this club is in good hands. Alright Red, let's talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold and this whole Real Madrid saga that's got everyone buzzing. It's January, and you can't open a football page without seeing his name plastered all over it. Real Madrid, one of the biggest clubs in the world, has made it their mission to lure Trent away from Liverpool. Yeah, our Scouse lad, our vice-captain, the one who grew up living and breathing Liverpool football. But now Madrid's circling like vultures, and they're not giving up. Here's the deal, Madrid's pulling out all the stops. They're already building a future dream team with Kylian Mbappe and Jude Bellingham, and, let's be honest, that Jude connection probably adds a bit of spice to this whole situation. They've already had one go at trying to prize Trent away from Anfield, but Liverpool wasn't having any of it. Still, that hasn't stopped the Spanish giants from planning their next move. Now, you know how this game works. Trent's contract is up in 5 months, and as much as we don't want to think about it, there's a real possibility he could walk out for free if nothing gets sorted soon, and Madrid knows it. They're waiting for just the right moment to swoop back in, waving another proposal in front of him and the club. Word on the street is that Trent might have already given them a yes in principle. I know, it's gut-wrenching to even imagine, isn't it? And it's not just Madrid's lot stirring the pot, you've got pundits weighing in too. Gary Lineker's telling Trent to head abroad, and Michael Owen reckons it's only a matter of time before our academy graduate takes on a new challenge. Makes you wonder how much noise like that affects a player's thinking, doesn't it? But let's get real for a moment, a January move. It's looking unlikely. Madrid might be desperate to bring him in now, but reports suggest it's practically impossible. Journalist Manu Amor reckons Madrid's happy to play the long game, waiting until July when they can grab him for free. That's their strategy, invest at zero cost and build a dynasty. They've done it before with Mbappe, Antonio Rudiger, and David Alaba. Looks like they're ready to try the same with Trent. And let me tell you, Madrid's all in on this one. For them, it's Alexander-Arnold or nothing, no backup plans, no second options. That's how highly they rate him. They're convinced he could be a pillar of their team for the next decade. But here's the thing, if Trent doesn't sign a new deal with us, that's the only way this happens. So, where does that leave us? Right now, Liverpool's focus is on the Premier League title race. We've got no time for distractions, no time to lose sight of what matters, and Trent. He's Liverpool through and through, until the summer rolls around. If it even comes to that, we've got to believe he's still ours. Last but not least, let's have a proper chat about life at Liverpool under Arne Slot, because it's been quite the ride, hasn't it? Top of the Premier League, flying high in the Champions League, and still in the mix for both domestic cups. Things are looking rosy, but, as always, there's more to the story. Let's dig into it. First off, credit where it's due, Slot's done a cracking job so far. but let's not forget the foundation he's building on. Jurgen Klopp left behind an incredible squad when he stepped away at the end of the 2023-24 season. That legacy, that mindset, is still very much alive at Anfield. Players like Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk are still delivering week in, week out. Their futures might be uncertain, but you wouldn't know it from the way they've been performing. Now, not everyone's thriving under Slot's system. Darwin Núñez, for one, seems to be struggling a bit. Under Klopp's chaotic, high-octane style, Núñez found his rhythm, but with Slot's more measured approach. It's been a tougher adjustment for the Uruguayan. There's even been talk of a move to Saudi Arabia. Could it happen? Well, that's a story for another day, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And then there's Jarell Quansah. Now, this one's a bit of a heartbreaker if you've been following the lad's journey. Pre-season started off with a bang. He impressed Slot so much that he earned a starting spot in the opening match against Ipswich Town, but things went downhill fast, hooked off at half-time in that game, and since then, he's barely had a sniff of first-team action, just 617 minutes across 11 matches, that's it. According to reports, Slot's not convinced by Quansah. The same defender Klopp once called super important for Liverpool's future has apparently taken a step back, and, honestly, it's hard not to feel for the lad. Last season, Klopp gave him every opportunity to shine, 33 appearances, including a memorable debut against Newcastle and some standout performances. You could see why there was so much excitement around him. But now? His future at Anfield looks shaky unless something changes. Maybe it's about proving himself to Slot, maybe it's just about timing. Whatever it is, it's not over for him yet. Liverpool's always been about second chances, and who knows? Quansah could still write his story here. Alright, that's the latest on what's happening at our beloved club. If you enjoyed this update, give that like button a click and don't forget to subscribe. Let's keep this conversation going because, as you know, there's never a dull moment with Liverpool. It up the Reds. You'll never walk alone.